What's going on, Aces? Welcome back to the channel. This is the third part of the Real Housewives of Potomac reunion, and it picks up right where the last one left off. So, part two, there was a cliffhanger where Gordon was discussing, he was going to give us some breaking news. And then in part three, he lets us know that he has been clinically diagnosed as being manic bipolar, and he has a manic bipolar disorder 1. So the good news is Andy asked him, was that going to require medication? And Gordon said yes, that he is taking medication for it. He also said that he believes his manic disorder was the reason behind the demise of the marriage between, him and Mia. And what breaks my heart is that he says that he's been dealing with this his whole life, but he only recently has received this diagnosis. And a lot of people, unfortunately, mental illness is something that is largely misdiagnosed or even overlooked. Chris Rock, the comedian, he said that he wasn't diagnosed with autism until he was well into his 50s. So now that he has a diagnosis, it provides clarity and it allows people to feel a sense of control and agency over their own bodies. That he has language and he has, um, just access to the healthcare that he needs to control his condition. The good news, again, he said this that when he went to the hospital, he checked himself in the hospital, and that Mia drove 70 miles and she was there every single day except for one. She was by his side. And he said that things are now a lot better with his family, 100% better. So that's really good. That was some good news to start off the reunion. I really like this reunion, to be honest. I think that the reunion was a lot better than the season. The season was pretty dry, but this reunion, it really closed a lot of gaps. It filled in a lot of gaps and it answered a lot of questions. So, moving on, we have the issue with Wendy and Nneka. And it's unfortunate that they really couldn't get along. I feel like for whatever reason, a lot of people were saying it was Dr. Wendy's insecurities, and other people were saying that, you know, um, Nneka, her attitude was abrasive. Whatever the case may be, it would have been beautiful if these two Nigerian sisters, and by Nigerian sisters, I mean they're both from Nigeria, because they, instead of being, close, it was like oil and water. Again, I don't know if Dr. Wendy wanted to be the only Nigerian on the show, but it just seemed like from the get go, when Nneka was saying that um, she knew Wendy, and Dr. Wendy was like, Mariah Carey, like, I don't know her. So Nneka went to this whole explanation about how, they met at this VIP event. And I was like, child, I mean, she said that her husband was approached for doing Married to Medicine. And to be honest, I kind of feel like she would have been a better fit over at Married to Medicine. But again, Wendy just wasn't having it for whatever reason. Then they brought up the whole issue with Ashley calling Dr. Wendy Oso, which Nneka's husband chimed in and said, this is very taboo in the Nigerian culture. We still didn't find out what Oso means. If there's any Nigerians on my channel, would you please chime in and just kind of fill in the gap, because I'm nosy and I want to know. But whatever it was taboo. And the fact that they called, Dr. Wendy's mom a witch, and that she was doing all these shrines and all this stuff, that's defamatory. And we do not want anybody getting sued. So, they asked Ashley, though, they kicked the question back to Ashley, and Wendy was like, okay, well, Ashley, since you, since you brought it up, what is Oso? And of course, Nneka chimed in. She's like, well, and Wendy was like, no, no, okay. In her best Meryl Streep, Devil Wears Prada, she was like, no, no, that wasn't a question, poised to you. Ashley, since you want to throw out words you don't know pretty much, why don't you go ahead and answer the question? And Ashley was, everybody on mute. She was stuck. Like Chuck, she didn't know what it was. Ashley is that type of person. She is an instigator. She definitely stirs the pot. A lot of people were saying that she is probably not going to come back again next season if she doesn't. In my own viewing capacity, she will not be missed. She throws the rocks way too many times and then hides her hands, and I do not like that. If you're going to do something, you know take accountability, stand 10 toes down, and that's something that I appreciated about Monique. If she says she did it, then she did it and it was done. Mia's another one, right? She threw that drink at Dr. Wendy. I can't remember if she apologized. I know she apologized to Karen. I think she apologized to Dr. Wendy. But my point is, if you do something, be a grown woman and accountable for your actions. Ashley, she doesn't do that. She throws rocks, hides her hands. She's like, "Oh, well, I don't know." Yes, you do. And if you don't know a word, you either look it up or you don't use it, especially when you're not from that culture. But anyway, let's move on. They bring out Kiana, and she wants people to call her K, which I completely understand. I have a very unique first name myself, and if people can't pronounce it, it's like nails on a chalkboard. So I usually tell them to go by my middle name, which is a lot more common. But they bring her out and they talk about the brawl that happened with Deborah. And Kiana, she basically says that she told her side of the story about what happened, and she really thanked. It was a very heartfelt thanks to Karen for being there with her. Because she said she was hit with a bottle. It was like a scar on her face. Her face was like split open, and she had to go to the hospital. And Karen, she's like, "Don't make me cry." She's like, "I would do that for any of you ladies." Even Robyn. She won't have to worry about that next season. But, she said if it was her own child, then she would want somebody to go to the hospital with her. My thing is Giselle, just being accusatory and just the Debbie Downer of the group. She just says, well, I think that, Wendy's at fault and Candice is at fault. And, just going to her go-to people that she always puts the blame and projects blame on, Wendy and Candice, for everything. And Wendy's like, I didn't even do anything, right? And Candice, she's like, I mean, of course it's going to be my fault because it's always my fault. I'm so glad she's gone. I'm really glad that she did what she needed to do to protect her peace. And only when Mia spoke up and said, well, no, Giselle, Wendy didn't do anything. That's when Giselle said, oh, okay, well, I'll take Wendy out of it. I'll take Wendy out of it. She didn't listen to anything that Wendy and Candice said. Again, I'm learning as I grow older that I don't even speak to people who don't value my words. If you don't listen to what I have to say, this is a true story. I had the opportunity to teach in Morocco, Tangier, actually. I was going to go to Tangier and then Casablanca. And I've traveled to different, countries before and working overseas. And so I always have, my accommodations and everything set up. And I met this guy, got the passport situation. He bought my ticket. He tried to ask if I could pay half. No, if you want me to be somewhere, you're going to pay. That's just how it works. That's how it's always worked anywhere I've gone, anyway. I asked him a question about the lodging, the housing where I was going to stay. And even if I had looked it up, I asked him just for clarification, and then I didn't get a response. Now, I understand people get busy, you forget, that's fine. I followed up because once is an accident, twice is a choice. The second time I asked the exact same question, he didn't answer me. I said, "That's okay. Go ahead and refund that ticket. I'm not coming." And he's like, "What? I can't believe you. Oh my gosh, it's, I have it. It's fine, blah, blah, blah." No. And I was like, if I ask you a question from my living room and you're not answering me, that means that you're not concerning yourself with my safety, my priority. And you don't obviously value me as an instructor, as an educator, and as an employee. And I'm not going to put myself in that position. So I just did not go. I would have loved to go, like I said, I love traveling. I would have loved to do that. But I'm glad that Candice realizes that Giselle and those who back her and support her, if you don't value my words, because she only listened to Mia. Giselle's a colorist through and through. I think it's like subconscious, to be honest, because her father was a colorist as well, calling people Aunt Jemima and things like that. So I think it gets to a point where people don't even realize, they're not even cognizant and aware of how they interact with people differently based on skin tone. So, um, yeah, people are boycotting the show. They're calling for Giselle to be fired. If she's gone, I wouldn't miss her either, because she is really problematic. But all in all, I'm glad that they got to the bottom of it. I'm glad that, hopefully they'll shake up the cast next season. Hopefully we find out, what's going on with Karen and the rest of the ladies. But those are my thoughts of this reunion. It was good. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section. Please be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already, and I will talk with you in the next one. Take care, Aces. Bye.